Okay, so we are in this really strange moment with AI, right? One minute, it's writing poetry or diagnosing diseases better than a doctor. The next, it completely fails at a simple logic puzzle. It's this weird mix of superhuman and, well, shockingly flawed. So today, we're going to unpack that paradox.
So, why is that? Why do these AIs seem both incredible and, honestly, pretty unreliable? This is the question that's bugging everyone, Not just us, but the actual people building these things. How can something pull off these amazing feats and then turn around and make a mistake a kid wouldn't make? It's a real mystery, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
And look, this quote from Sutskever, one of the top minds in AI, just hits the nail on the head. He's basically saying, how can a model do these mind-blowing things and then just repeat itself twice? This isn't just some quirky little bug. No, it's a huge sign that the way these models think is fundamentally different and maybe a lot more fragile than we've been led to believe.
All right, so first up, let's dive right into this disconnect. We're calling it the AI performance paradox. And it's exactly what it sounds like. These things are superhuman on paper, but pretty flawed when you actually try to use them.
So a huge part of the problem comes down to these things called evals. Think of them like standardized tests for AIs, like the SATs. And the models, they're getting absolutely incredible scores on them. But here's the catch, and we're all starting to figure this out. Just because you ace the test doesn't mean you're actually ready for the real world. And I'm sure many of you have felt this pain, especially if you've tried to get an AI to code something. It goes like this. You ask it to write some code, and oops, it creates a bug. So you ask it to fix the bug, and it does. But it introduces a second bug. So you point that one out, and what does it do? It brings back the first bug. It's this maddening loop. And that's not just a glitch, it's a symptom of something much deeper going on. Okay, so to really get how we ended up here, we have to look back a little bit. For the last several years, AI development was all about one simple but really powerful idea. This was what we now call the Great Age of Scaling. And the recipe was almost beautiful in how simple it was. Step 1, get more data. Step 2, throw more compute power at it. Step 3, build a bigger neural net. And the result? A predictably better AI. For a long time, this just worked. It was a simple, reliable formula for making progress. Now, here's the thing to understand. This era wasn't about some risky, groundbreaking research. Not at all. It was really an engineering problem. And you know who loves predictable engineering problems? Companies. They poured money in because it was a low-risk investment. You put more in, you got a better result, guaranteed. It was a super reliable path forward. But that easy, predictable recipe, it's starting to break down. It feels like we're hitting a wall. Just making things bigger and bigger isn't the answer anymore. So the big question is, why isn't scaling enough? Okay, let me put it this way. Think about two students. On one side, you've got the crammer. This is basically today's AI. It's spent like 10,000 hours just memorizing every single problem and answer for the big test. Then on the other side, you've got the genius. This student maybe studies for 100 hours, but they're not memorizing. They're actually understanding the core principles. And that is the absolute key. Our AIs today are the ultimate crammers. They've been trained to do one thing really, really well, ace the test, those evals we talked about. But all that cramming creates a very brittle kind of intelligence. It can't generalize. It totally struggles when it sees a new problem in the real world that it hasn't already memorized. So all of this is leading to a massive turning point. The whole industry is realizing the simple scaling recipe isn't going to cut it anymore. They're being forced to go back to the drawing board and ask those bigger, more fundamental questions again. So, yeah. Welcome back to the age of research. Like Sutskever says here, we are back to the age of research again, just with big computers. The easy wins from just scaling up are drying up. So the challenge now is to find totally new ways of doing things. But this time, we have these massive computers to help us figure it out. So if you map it out, it looks something like this. From, say, 2012 to 2020, that was the first big age of research. Then, from about 2020 until now, that's been the age of scaling. And today, we're heading right back into a new research age, but it's going to be on a scale we've never seen before. So what's the goal of this new age of research? What's the next big hurdle to overcome? Well, it's all about moving past this brute force method of just memorizing everything. The core problem, the absolute crux of it, is poor generalization. That's the one thing that really separates today's AI from anything like human intelligence. It's this inability to take what it learned over here and apply it over there.
And so the goal, you could even call it the holy grail of this new research age, is something called continual learning. The idea is to build an AI that doesn't just get trained once and then that's it. No, this AI would learn and adapt from experience, constantly, just like a person.
Now, one of the key ideas for getting there is this concept of a value function. The easiest way to think about it is like an AI's gut feeling. You know that little voice in your head that tells you if you're on the right track? That's what this is for the AI. It's getting real-time feedback, moment to moment, instead of just waiting to see if it passed or failed at the very end. The classic example here is chess. I mean, you don't need to wait until you hear the word checkmate to know that losing your queen was a really, really bad move. You feel it instantly. That immediate feedback is exactly what a value function provides, and it's absolutely crucial for learning efficiently in the real world. So let's zoom out. If researchers actually crack this continual learning puzzle, well, the implications are just staggering. We're not talking about just building a slightly better chatbot here. We're talking about creating a fundamentally new kind of intelligence on this planet. And this really requires a total shift in how we think about AI. See, the goal isn't to build some giant static encyclopedia that knows everything. The real goal is to create a dynamic system that can learn anything. An AI that has the ability to pick up new skills, just like we do. Just try to imagine what this world looks like. You have an AI that can learn a new job, any job, on the fly. Okay, now imagine not one, but millions of these AIs deployed all at once, all learning different things. And then, and this is the truly wild part, they can amalgamate all of that separate learning into one single mind. The economic growth that could trigger, I mean, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So that's the journey we're on. We've gone from a simple, almost boring recipe of just add more to being on the verge of creating a totally new kind of intelligence. One that doesn't just spit out answers, but one that actively learns and grows right here in our world.
And all of this leaves us with a huge and honestly pretty profound final question. An AI that can learn any job, that can be deployed by the millions, and that can amalgamate all that learning into one super intelligence? It's an incredible vision for sure, but it really forces us to ask ourselves, are we ready for that? Are we even remotely ready for what that means for, well, for everything?